Hello, greetings everyone.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Keys for Home, Season 3, Episode 3, Budgeting, Mindset, and Why. And we missed last week. I had no voice.
Well, I got a voice. I just don't know if anyone wants to listen to me.
No, you're good. So what
It's
happened?
got
I
no
guess
sight.
2 weeks. What's been going on for the last 2 weeks since we missed?
Well, I'm having a blast being a broker. This is
Yeah.
great. We have a lot of products available to people, and if I need to make a change or correct something, I can do that. I can work from my RV here in the wilderness all week. I've been doing that. Have hotspot will travel, so that's new. I don't have anyone ask me what I'm doing or how many phone calls I made. And Jennifer, I got a contract from you, and we got that going. Um,
Yep.
Mark's called me with some questions about some things he might do, so I'm excited. I
Yeah.
love fall, by the way. I love it.
Yeah, me too. Although it's 80 degrees, it was supposed to be 74, so whatever. Whatever. I did wear my fall color and my leaf, and I've got my acorn earrings on. We had our Benchmark Expo. So Philip Cantrell, brilliant mind at Benchmark, and he brought in a gentleman. I think his first name was Nick, and the last name was definitely Bailey, who had previously run Century 21 at Remax and was a C-suite at Zillow, and he's now at T360, which is real estate trends and where things are going. And like we've been saying, we think it's going to pop. If you're a first-time buyer, get off the stick. If you've got a house to sell, to buy, get off the stick. And if you need that in Alabama, I can now help in Alabama. I passed my broker's
That's right.
test.
Yeah,
And so I'm a
congratulations.
broker in Tennessee and Alabama. Technically, license isn't hung because you got to wait 2 business days for the Alabama Real Estate Commission to realize that you have that. And then I'll hang it with Benchmark has a presence in Alabama.
Right?
Congratulations on that, Jennifer. That's
I
awesome.
know. I'm super
I
excited.
have been so brain dead with this cold. It's literally the only test that I've gone in and been like, I don't know if I can do this. But I apparently could, so thank God.
Nice. Last couple weeks for me, it's been. I'm finding a deeper dive into people's psyches and behaviors. I don't know if that's the right way. To finding out what is their obstacles in the way. I would say that business wise, that's what I'm finding is just living on the surface with this is just in finances and career is not been. That's just the beginning, and getting down deeper into some of the behaviors and why we're doing the things that we do, and talking about them and the obstacles in the way. Of course, hockey just started, so now my time is yes.
The Blue Jackets got beat by the Predators.
Yeah. So so that's now worked itself into my schedule. We're still in the upper 80s and low 90s in the Dallas area. So I'm hoping for, and we haven't seen any rain in a long time. This is our summer after summer. So,
Yeah.
But that's what
Summer after summer.
Yeah.
It was like 48 degrees here 2 nights ago, which was cold.
Yeah.
And that kind of came out of nowhere. But it's hot, like Jennifer said. Now it's just fall's coming though. The Earth is tilting. The shadows are
As
longer.
you sit in a air conditioned bus. Okay, speaking of Earth tilt,
Right.
did you guys hear that because of a dam, I think it is, that was built in China, it has slowed the rotation? I think it's slowed. I don't think it's sped up the rotation of the Earth.
What?
Yeah, because of all the water that's behind it or something.
Mm-hmm. Waiting
Makes
on
sense.
one side.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
It's a delicate balance we're in here.
Well, we got to put a crack in the dam.
Right?
Let the water.
And then the little Dutch boy will come and put his finger in it. So speaking about delicate balance, isn't that a lot of what budget is?
It
do you
is.
just put your finger in the damn brake when it's going to hell in a handbasket?
Well, you know, hopefully what you know, trying to put a finger in and plug this hole and plug that hole, and finally you just run out of fingers and toes, and you kind of got to say, what am I doing that's not working out? And so we could spend countless hours on analogies, but I got a lot of great information to jump right in. I think that's a good segue to do that if I'm reading you right. And yeah, I would say I just realized when we started this, I had already shared out the screen. So today's presentation is sponsored to you by Mark Crater, Aspire Coaching, and who offers financial and career coaching. One of our slogans and taglines is to imagine your life without any payments. And I'll have a trivia for you at the end of the presentation. So with that, yeah. So a little bit who I am, because one thing about finances that's hard to do is talk to a person that you're meeting for the first time. Being open and vulnerable, I respect that for anyone that does that. But it's also fair for me to say, hey, if I'm asking you to do that for me, then it's fair for me to reciprocate. So I'm a master financial coach based in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I've been coaching for about 3 years. I'm also a contractor and coach for Ramsey Solutions on their Smart Dollar team, and have been doing that for about 2 years. I have a bachelor's of science degree from DeVry University, a master's from the University of Dallas. I've been a veteran from the U.S. Army over 10 years. I was actually a Ramsey Solutions preferred coach. And I went outside. Coaching for me as a result of my debt journey was something that I discovered about my passion and what I like to do and help people. So I went outside of Ramsey Solutions master coach training and got certified with John Maxwell's team, and also did the DISC personality certification.
I have a question.
What's that?
I have a question.
Sure.
Without us taking the test, what do you think Lance and I are on DICS?
Oh my gosh, probably high I's.
Is that influencer?
I'm high I, but I am a high D.
Oh, and you can have both of those and go, you know, at various times. And
let's go.
Yes, you don't like, as a high D, you don't like don't give me just give me the answer. That's what you want to know.
Yeah. And when people email me, I don't know if I've done this to you. It's never offensively meant, but like you'll be like, "Hey Jen, what's the name of that person who did da?" And I'll just buzz back, Lance Stanmeyer, like nothing else.
Yeah, you don't want all of the stuff. It's very important as a coach to recognize the type of personalities, because you're right. It can be a big turnoff for someone that's a high D to sit there and add a whole 3 paragraphs. Just get to the point. That's what they really want to know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Surprising.
Yeah. So this might be a little hard for you, Jennifer, because I'm going to talk a little. Just kidding. I'm single.
Let me mute myself. Hold on.
What are you talking about, Mark? She already interrupted before you even got started. It already happened.
Exactly.
Now I had to get mine in.
I've got to hurry up and get. Yeah, I'm single with a dog and a bird. My dog's name is Howard, and my bird's name is Alex. My fun fact is that my first job in Dallas was for the Dallas Cowboys. I was actually their IT admin. Yes, in old Irving, Texas is where my office was. I love running, watching hockey, outdoor activities. This year I was diagnosed with kidney cancer, and I'm working through that. I am debt free and following Ramsey Solutions baby steps principles. I've paid off during that journey. I paid off $323,501.21 in 63 months by making $5,000 payments for 63 months. That was working multiple jobs from time to time. Some of those days I don't even remember. But through that journey is where I discovered the passion of wanting to be able to help some other people, plus having some interaction with a senior coach from Ramsey Solutions, who is a mentor of mine now. So that being said, moving on. Any questions, Jennifer? Okay, why budgeting? Well, budgeting, it is one of the most powerful financial habits you can build. It's for the high D in this group, it is absolutely one of the most powerful financial habits you can build. One of those things that budgeting does, and why we want to do it, is to control that you have over your money. It puts you in charge of your money. We've all heard this. This topic is sometimes very mundane, and oversaturated, and a lot of it is not has been repeated. My perspective on this,
so much, there's desensitization to it.
Yeah, you can. It's been talked about so much that you can get disconnected with it very fast. So my perspective on this presentation was to try to find the things about budgeting that are often overlooked. And we're going to get into that in the later slides. So I want to be able to have control over my money. It puts me in charge of my money. I work hard for this money, and I want to be able to control it, not it controlling me. Eliminate the stress and anxiety. A little bit of anxiety about your finances is not bad. It's basically, in my mind, an alarm system that's kind of saying something's not right. And that's financial uncertainty is one of the biggest stressors in our lives. A little bit of anxiety is not bad, but we don't want this thing to be the point of you waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, walking around wondering what you're going to do next. If that's happening to anyone right now who's listening to this, now is the time to say, okay, after this presentation, I'm going to contact Mark, and let's get together and work through it. We want to crush debt. I have the fun fact, or the little trivia question I have at the end, is centered around crushing debt. Any extra money, when we budget, why we budget is to find any extra money to attack debt. We want debt out of our lives, because what debt does is opens things up to being able to choose what we want to do. Build savings and wealth, prioritizing saving and investing, especially if you're young. First of all, it's never too old to start investing and start saving for retirement. No one should ever feel like, it's too late. If you're feeling like that right now, that would be another indication to give me a call. I'm going to raise my hand. I was 50 years old when I started my debt journey. It took me 5.5 years. I've been investing in my retirement for 3.5 years, although I started it a little bit. I started it before I started my debt journey. So I was 55 years old when I went all in on my investments.
On that,
sure.
And you may be going to address it, but if you're at work and they do a matching 401 and you have debt, that's not a bad thing to do because they're matching it. So it's making your dollar go farther, right?
In my mind, to answer your question, we want all available cash towards debt. We want so in other words, if because the hope is we get out of debt as fast as possible, and reasonably possible, if that's how we need to work it, so that we can invest more later.
So the second part to that, the reason I asked that is I was talking to someone within the last month, and they were telling me how they were getting a lot of their things together, and they were contributing to their 401k because it was matched. I'm like, that sounds really good. Then they told me their household had 3 to 5 cars. It was a lot.
Yeah.
And they're not paid off. And I was still okay, that might be a different temperament between you and I. But then they said that they were investing in stocks and doing things like that. And I said, but you still have debt. I said, there's no way I would be doing that
Right.
with still having 3 to 5 cars that you owe on. Like I said, maybe the 401, depending on your age and how soon you're retiring. But I just wanted to get your take on that.
No,
You might make a clip of this.
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think you used the very key word in the whole in this perspective, and that is temperament. In my coaching, I follow principles. I don't follow you have to do this. That if that is how I would coach, then I wouldn't expect to be coaching long. So following a principle, and to your point about the stocks and the 401k. If you're struggling to put food on the table, investing right now may not be your strategy.
They're struggling because they want to buy a house.
Right. But if you're struggling to, and that's where I said the temperament comes in.
Yeah.
We have to make a choice.
Yeah.
What do you
I just
want
wanted to ask you that. Yeah.
No. And that's a great question because, and it's an important question. The reason why is because we have to decide what is going to be our priority to this. If you want to get out of debt, but yet we're buying stocks over here and hoping that we, like the rabbit and the tortoise and the hare,
it's making them feel secure, but I don't get it.
Right. It's no longer, Jennifer, about the money. It's the security that you mentioned. There has to be a discussion at some point where the choice is, what is the priority in your life? Do you want to buy a house and have a home that is a burden, or do you want to buy a home and have it be a house, not have it a burden, be a blessing? Because if we're so far down in debt that we can't even put food on our table or pay for the 3 to 5 cars, then why are we buying a house?
Well, and it seems to me that there is more security in buying a house, in having control of your own mortgage amount, not having it change, not having a landlord sell it from under you, than buying a small amount, quite frankly, of stock.
Yeah.
But I don't want to segue all your thing. I just had that question since you mentioned that.
No, the point that we were on when the question came up was building savings and wealth, prioritizing savings. That's why we budget. The answer right now, or that question was a great question, but that's where that question probably is more appropriate for a debt approach strategy as opposed to building savings and wealth. Yeah. In my opinion, most people discover it doesn't do us any good to be saving for a house or paying off debt or buying stocks right now when we can't pay for food or we can't pay off the cars.
Yeah.
That's just what I've found. And I know that might be a difference.
No, it makes sense. I mean, I don't think they should be buying stocks and investing when they have car payments and they're trying to get towards the house. It just seems counterintuitive. But go on ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So item number 5 is improving our relationships. It's pretty much known that one of the leading causes of divorce is finances and fighting about finances. So when we budget, when we're on the same team, for couples, it brings transparency, it increases trust, and it engages teamwork. So it can improve relationships. Another reason why we budget is that it prepares you for the unexpected. Here I am, right here, having to have a tooth extracted, as what I found out yesterday. And how am I going to pay for that if I don't budget? We're going to talk about that a little bit later as well. So preparing you a cushion in place for when life happens. And then finally, it creates freedom, not restriction. One of the myths about budgeting is that, oh no, I can't do something. Anyone listening right now, I want you to shift your mindset into indicating that a budget doesn't tell you what you can't do. A budget tells you what you can do. And you're the one that is telling that budget how you're going to spend your money. At the time when that budget takes over, yes, that can be a reminder of what you mentioned that you said that you were going to do with a specific line item in your budget. So, in short, a budget is a plan for peace of mind. It helps you spend intentionally, save consistently, and move closer to your financial freedom. Any questions on that other than what we had?
Yep.
That's a
All
great,
right.
great 7 steps. I like it.
Oh, thanks.
Number 5 is so important because they really play into that. Jennifer can tell you, people she knows that she's just going. When I'm going to tell a good story, I do this. I go number 5. But we all know people.
Yeah. Getting your spouse on board with you, and this goes back to the principles. Having someone work with you is going to produce far greater results than one person doing it on their own. All right. So I did I pulled some statistics.
Oh my gosh.
So this is U.S. consumer non-mortgage debt, credit that's outstanding from 2015 to 2024. The source of this was the U.S. consumer debt, and it's down in the right-hand side. This is non-mortgage. If you look at what happened, you can see we're on an upward trajectory of taking on more and more debt. And what this translates to is I can't do anything other than because I have too much debt. If the sentence is something like this, I would like to do this, but I can't because of the debt that I have. Now's the time to schedule a call and figure out how we can get out of debt. So that's the U.S. consumer mortgage debt. Notice that it's right around $5.05 trillion, which relates to about 38.4K per household. That's using households of 131.4 million households. If you were to look at and add mortgage debt along with consumer debt in the United States as of, and it's not a slide I put up, it's just a figure that I've been tracking, is right at $18.9 trillion.
Where do we stack up against the world?
You know what? I didn't do that analysis, Lance. It's probably a good thing to do.
What I can say, we're talking, it wasn't. I wondered if you had come across it.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I imagine that we're probably number one. I should.
We're number one. We're number one. We spend money.
Well, the mentality is we don't spend our money; we spend other people's money.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's probably another topic.
Sorry.
So, I wanted to dive into why budgets fail, because this topic is, like I said, has been oversaturated. We often talk about, we need to budget, but we very rarely talk about why they fail. And one of the reasons is unrealistic expectations. People often create a perfect budget. It has to be like this. It must be like this. This is perfect. And when we have a budget on paper, we fail to account for the actual spending habits. Let me give you an example. I created a budget, but you know what? It's football season, so I'm going to order 4 pizzas for me and the guys. There's $150 that's not in my budget.
Yep.
Can I give you an example?
We go for it. Yes.
When I was first married, my ex sat me down and said, "I'm putting together a budget." Okay. It was not we were putting together a budget.
Right.
Get done. He hands it to me, and this is what we're sticking to. I look it over and I said, there's not a line item for groceries. There's not a line item for gas. It was literally just the utilities, the credit card, the car payments, and the rent. I said, I'm pretty sure that the two I named are the ones that we really need to get the handle on.
Yeah, and so it's unfortunate
Turns out
that
those are important.
it's unfortunate that someone presented it to you like that, because I've been budgeting for 10 years, and I can tell you right now, not one budget is ever the same, and from one month to the next. Budgeting is not cookie cutter, just putting it over. What we did last month, we're going to make it the same next month, and then we'll figure it out. And
Well, you have to do it every month, tweak it.
yeah, you have to tweak it, and there's reasons that of why you need to tweak it, like unexpected yearly expenses that pop up in the month. So, number one, when numbers don't match reality, the budget feels impossible to follow and gets abandoned. I am starting to see a lot of this when people say I have a budget, and I ask, tell me a little bit more about why your budget hasn't whether you've been successful with your budgeting or not. What has led you to that? And it's typically unplanned or actual spending habits.
Yeah. Oh, the vet has to go to the dog. The dog has to go to the vet this month.
So that can be an unexpected. Yes, that can be an unexpected.
It's not planned for because you're not thinking about it in June when it happens in November.
More, not necessarily that, Jennifer. That is probably more along the lines of an emergency. Something with the vet, is.
No, I meant like annual.
Right, but I'm sorry.
I meant like the annual shots that are anywhere from 200 to 300. If you don't think about that in June, when you're sitting down, okay, it's October and I'm going to do my budget, and come March, it's been going along okay, but I forgot that the dog goes to the vet this month.
Right.
Those are the things that you're talking about. Like these are unrealistic expectations because you should expect that.
Right. People don't. It's too perfect, and they didn't plan for that. So the second one is lack of tracking and accountability. So oftentimes a budget is useless if you don't actually track your expenses. I'm finding a lot about this, and I'm going to bring it up for the first time. I'm finding a lot of this with apps, and specifically, I've built my budget on an app, and therefore I've done the exercise, and I feel I know what I'm doing, and I never look at it throughout the month. So a budget is pretty much useless if you're not going to track your expenses. And we'll talk about these apps here in a second, and my feeling about apps and what I believe that it's doing on the surface. And so if you don't track the expenses, so many people set categories but never even check the receipts, your bank apps or spreadsheets. So they overspend without even realizing it. Yeah. So one of the things, what's that?
Makes sense.
Yeah. One of the things that, we'll talk about that next. Number 3, ignoring irregular and unexpected expenses. These are the things that you were talking about, Jennifer. Budgets that usually cover the obvious bills. We have something called the 4 walls: rent, groceries, utilities, transportation. But we often overlook the annual and quarterly costs, such as insurance premiums, car tags, and holiday gifts. Right now,
$500 I just spent at Costco on tires.
Was that budgeted? That's the question. And so the fact that it wasn't a quick yes tells me it probably wasn't, right? Now, I'm not singling.
God, if only I knew a budget coach. No, just
okay. Well, I'm not singling.
No, I know. I'm saying this is everyday people stuff.
Right. This is justifying the expense because it seems to be the right time to justify the expense. And the thing that I feel like we're not doing with our budgets is actually bringing up, if you're listening to this and you have an app and you take Jennifer's example, did you even open up the app to see if you had the money? Did you even open up the bank account to find out how this $500 would affect your life? And wonder at the end of the month, I don't have enough to pay the minimum bills or make headway on my debt. That's the impact of what item number 1 is: actual spending habits. These surprise, and the last thing on number 3, these surprise expenses throw everything off. Now, I just laid that out. So no flexibility is the 4th one. Life changes weekly. If a budget is too tight, it's too perfect, it has to be this way. One unexpected dinner or car repair makes you feel like I blew it. Without built-in flexibility, many quit instead of adjusting. Your budget needs to be adjusted, people. If you're listening to this, if it's so rigid that you're failing in multiple categories, then why are you budgeting if we're not tweaking?
Yep.
I'm not going to be perfect on my budgeting, and that's really important to understand the perspective of knowing that what you can't do and what you can do with budgeting. It's not a rigid document that says there is no adjustment. Hey, look, life happened. I have to come up with $1,000 for my deductible on my dental repair, or I'm going to sit here with a broken tooth. I got to adjust. I'm going to have to take something from somewhere and apply it somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Lack of motivation or why, probably one of the most important items on this list is item number 5. If someone doesn't connect their budget to a deeper purpose, getting out of debt, building wealth, or giving generously, it's like punishment. You need a strong why. The discipline doesn't last. And that's what my business is focused on. And what I've found over the last 2 months or the last 2 weeks is getting deeper to that why. Asking you to explain to me why you're budgeting or what your why is no longer enough.
I have another question.
Sure.
I would think that it's a lot like time management. When you're really busy, you're paying attention every second. When you're really struggling to get out of debt and things are really tight, you're paying a lot of attention. And I think this is why people fall back into debt, because their why isn't as pressing and looming once they get out of debt and they've got some discretionary money and maybe they're saving up, but I don't have to save up that much. I can go on a vacation. And so we get a little lax. And I think it's really important to say, I don't ever want to go back there again. So I don't need to be pedal to the metal, but I can't just be having the reins lay loose.
Right. You need to understand the deeper part of why you want to get out of debt.
And stay out of it once you're there.
Yeah, and then what is your purpose after getting out of debt? I was just talking to Lance about wanting to put an addition on the house, and so I spent 63 months of my life paying off debt. I never want to go back to debt. I will never have debt. Debt is not an option for me. It doesn't put me. It takes away from my ability to build wealth than it does to build wealth. Now, I understand not everyone can go and buy houses for cash.
No, I get that.
Right. So there's a reasonable approach to this. It's a principled approach. When we're talking about when someone has contacted me, they've already in my mind had a transformative second. They've said, I've had enough. I can't be here anymore. I'm tired of living like this, and I don't want to live like this anymore. I have told people, I've not brought on clients. I have no problem saying this. I have not brought on clients because they're not yet at that point.
Right. So when you meet with people, is number five, the bottom one of the very first things you break down?
It's a great question, Lance. Yeah, it actually is. And when I was creating the presentation, I didn't organize these in any one way, but when I got done, I realized lack of motivation or your understanding your deeper why is probably the most important thing. Everything else is probably at least one font smaller.
Yeah. Well, I just wondered if you're talking, and maybe it needs to be the fifth, because when you start to talk about those other things, you can quickly ascertain maybe there isn't a why. Or in talking about those other four things, you can say, you know what, guys, I might have some ideas for what your why could be. What do you think of these things? And let them come to it together. It's not right or wrong. I think it's really put together well.
Yeah, exactly. And coming to the realization that there's something in front of us that we have to accomplish is not fun. I'll go back into my life and relate it to the start of my debt journey. November 16th, 2016 at 9:34 a.m. That's how much I remember my day. It was a Wednesday morning when I walked into my master bathroom, hung my head down and said, God, give me the strength to overcome this challenge. Because I don't want to be in my retirement with $323,000 worth of debt.
Yep.
That I needed to share that with whoever's listening, because the desire to no longer be in this point has to be 10 to 15 times stronger in order to get to a different place. And budgeting is that 10 to 15%. I am going to budget. I am going to tell people no. I am going to stick to this. I am going to find extra money. I am going to pay off my debt, because my net worth now is far greater, allows me to do the things that I've wanted to do. And I know I'm very direct in that, but that item number 5 requires that. We're not going to get to point B if we don't have the tenacity, the perseverance, the discipline, the commitment to get there. And where coaching comes in on budgeting is to hold the person accountable.
Yep.
All right. 5. And the next slide was really, and I'm going to go kind of quickly because we're approaching time here. So 5 key behavioral changes that make budgeting and debt freedom possible. We need to shift from the impulsive to intentional spending. One of the first things that I love about this is the question that it says. Stop asking yourself, can I afford this? And start asking yourself, does this fit my plan? Whatever you're about ready to purchase, stop asking whether or not you can afford it. If you are questioning whether or not you can afford it, then you can't afford it. We need to shift that to, does this fit my plan? Build the habit of tracking every dollar. Awareness drives change. One of the things about these apps that I don't like is that it gamifies budgeting. Right. I don't think that people are truly understanding when they log into apps. They see, oh, I've got to move this over here and this over here and this over here. They're just looking at the tasks that they need to move. Are they truly absorbing the fact that they just spent $65 that was not on their budget? And they're just going through the motion of, well, let me hurry up and get this done. Swiping on an app is not writing it down. The reason why I can tell you that my internet and phone bill is $136.94 and it comes in on every 9th day of the month is because I write it down. I don't even have to look at my budget. I can tell you when these bills are coming in, and when they're wrong, I can tell you the first thing that I'm doing is calling them, because every dollar to me matters.
Right.
Learn to delay gratification. Choosing to wait, saving for the purchase instead of financing it, is one of the most powerful behavior shifts around. I understand that we're setting this. We're talking about consumer debt. We're not talking about purchasing of a home. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, and I needed to make that distinction. So, learning to delay the gratification, communicate openly, especially for couples. Budgeting requires honesty and teamwork. Discussing money regularly, wins, your setbacks, and your adjustments turns budgeting into collaboration, because you're on the same page as your spouse. If you're single, you're doing it on your own. Then having an open conversation, strangely enough and humorously, when I stood in the right location of my master bathroom, I could see myself in 2 different mirrors. And I'm telling you guys, there were conversations with 3 people in that room. Yeah. So I was having a little bit of fun with it as well.
Me, myself, and I.
Absolutely. Celebrate progress, not perfection. One of the things that's unique about my coaching style is that I like working hard for a certain amount of period of time, and then we celebrate the victories, because this is not easy. We got into debt pretty easily. Getting out of it is not easy. It's hard. It's not an easy road. Coaching insight is that these behaviors are really about self-control, accountability, and vision. The budget is just the tool. The habits make it successful.
Those are great.
Okay, Q&A, but I have a trivia question. Do you guys, I may have shared this in the past, do you know what my favorite word in the dictionary is? It's a plural version, but do you know what that is?
Y'all know.
Wins.
Wins is good. That's close. But my favorite word in the dictionary, the plural version of it, is options. Yeah. Because when we have no debt, we have options.
Right.
Yeah.
And everything opens up after that. With that being said, that's my presentation.
Yeah, that's really good. You did a good job on it.
Thank you.
And I want to just say, being in a, we talked about irregular expenses, but I know that you and I have talked about irregular income, and it is possible to budget on that. It takes even more attention to things. But if you have an irregular income, then it's even more important to get with Mark or a coach if you're trying to get out of debt. And if you have like a base pay regular income, but you're prone to getting bonuses, super important too, because that means you get a big hit. What are we doing with it?
Right. When you and that's where that why, that deeper why, becomes more important. I didn't, I'll share. I do have a testimonial from a client. We just walked through. We paid off. He paid off $100,000 in about 6 months through his business. Nice. Through his business, and he had been wanting to. It had been over a course of about a year and a half that he had been trying to pay that off. But he brought me in, and we laid sessions. We do a lot of brainstorming. We do a lot of workshop type of environment, and we lay out what the biggest obstacles are. We understand what the options are. Guess what? None of that has to do with money on an app and money in a budget. Mm-hmm. Has everything to do with how are we going to build the strategy to get to where you want to go and overcome the obstacles in the way.
So that nothing stops you. Because there will always be something to stop you.
Right. One of the things that I wanted to share with everyone listening to me is that the cost of my budgeting app, $0.
Because he doesn't have one.
Because exactly. You know what the cost of my budgeting app is? A piece of paper, a pencil, and time. When I need to understand how to budget, I log into my bank account, and the bank has all of my transactions. They're all categorized already. I have no renewable fees. I have no monthly fees. Do you know what the best budgeting app on the market is? You. Trust me.
I think we're going to rename this presentation Your Enemy, the Budgeting App, Your Friend.
Yeah.
Mark Prater, RPCGTFC, AspireCoaching.com.
All right, my internet connection's getting wonky, and we're at 45. So
We're at 45 minutes, so it's great job. What a great session. I can't wait to get this out. And don't forget to stay here to make sure that we
special
upload.
guests for next time.
Absolutely. You guys are awesome.
All right, everybody.
All
See
right.
ya.
Jennifer, be safe. Be careful with all that wine.
Be careful with all that wine.